How's it going, guys? Cameron here, it's Canadian Gamer, coming at you with another video. Now today we're going to take a look at the PS4 Pro, the 500 million limited edition console that I recently picked up. Now I'm going to give it to you guys gun barrel straight. I'm going to show you the console, and then at the end of the video I'm going to give you my honest opinion on whether or not you should pick one of these up. If you've been thinking about it, if you're on the fence about it. Keep it real with you guys. There's a serious issue with this console. Not particularly this one that I have. It works fine. I've already hooked it up, believe me. But there's a design flaw with the 500 million limited edition PS4 Pro. I don't even know if I'd call it a design flaw. It's just, well, we'll get to it in a few minutes, and you guys can chime in the comments below how you feel about this. So anyhow, how did I acquire this? Long story short, somebody on the classifieds was selling this locally. Now, I don't know if you guys are fully aware, but right now the 500 million limited edition PS4 Pro on the aftermarket, it's pretty desirable. Right now it's going for more than a PS5, if you can believe it. I know eBay is not really the gold standard as far as pricing is concerned, but right now if you were to go on eBay, this console is going for upwards of $1,000 Canadian. Now if you're looking on the classifieds, you might be able to find one under $1,000. It's difficult. For this one here, the guy was asking $650, but he was including like 6 or 7 games, including God of War, Uncharted 4, and a couple of other games too, Red Dead Redemption 2. I got him down to $550. I said I don't need the games, I just want the console, and he went for it. So with regards to the PS4 Pro 500 million LE edition, if you will, it's uncommon, but it's by no means rare. They produced 50,000 of them worldwide. So, I mean, I wouldn't consider 50,000 particularly limited in the grand scheme of things. But it is hard to find because most people that went out and got this, they didn't necessarily buy it to play it. They bought it to flip it, to hoard it, to put it away. Again, this is the market that we're living in right now. We talked about this in a recent video. There's a lot of people out there that aren't necessarily gamers that are in the market of speculative purchasing, just like the comic book craze of the early 90s, and they're buying up these big ticket items just so they can make a quick buck. So anyways, with the PS4 Pro, I managed to get it down to $550, which I thought was a good deal. And with this console here, it is 2 terabytes. Now inside the console is a Seagate 2 terabyte hard drive, and I actually have one that I had before I picked this up. And here it is here. It's pretty much the exact same 2 terabyte hard drive that comes with the PS4 Pro. Now if you get the standard Pro, I don't believe it ever came with a 2 terabyte hard drive. I could be wrong. I think the most you could get was a 1 terabyte. 2 terabyte, at least up until this point, was exclusive to the 500 million limited edition console. So let's take a closer look at the console. And the first thing you'll immediately notice is it comes in like this plastic transparent casing, if you will. So it's really nice. The guy who sold me the console kept the packaging, thank God, because that's part of the collectability of this console is the packaging. So as we open it up here, you'll see the console comes in this nice bag, kind of like you get in a bottle of Crown Royale. So here's the console. Okay, so basically with this console, and you know, when I picked it up, I asked the guy, I said, you must have had to order this online. I don't think they sold this at retail. And he's like, yeah, I picked it up. And he didn't seem like he was really a gamer. The guy was about my age, maybe a little bit older. He's like, yeah, I picked it up, but I really don't have time to game. He's like, I got a young son now, and I just don't have time to game. And he's like, I got a gaming PC as well. So he's like, if I really need to, I'll use the PC. And so the issue with this console, and this is part of the reason why I got this for such a good deal, is the casing they used on the special edition, the limited edition that you're seeing here. The plastic they used, depending on how you look at this, some would view it as a design flaw. It's very easy not only to get this all gunked up with fingerprints, but for it to scratch as well. So the guy, he seemed like he was pretty well off. He seemed like a pretty well-established dude. And but he was telling me he had a cat, and the cat would sometimes climb on top of his console. So you know how people are, you know, wealthy people, they just don't give a fuck with regards to what they have. They don't care if, you know, their cat climbs all over their BMW. They just don't give a fuck. So this console's actually got some, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got some scuff marks, it's got some scratch marks on the front of the console, unfortunately. So yeah, it's not mint. I knew that going into this. He disclosed that to me on the ad. But what are you gonna do? If you want one that's dead mint, you're gonna pay probably over $1,000. This one's got some scuff marks. He was asking $650. I got him down to $550. Again, with this console, if you're thinking about getting this, you might be further ahead just to get a plain vanilla PS4 Pro, because the PS4 Pro, that's just a matte black, the hard plastic, it's not prone to getting scratched. It's a lot more durable. Your cat, your dog could probably jump on it. It's not going to leave a mark. This console is more of a showpiece. So, you know, if you bought one of these and you want to put it in a glass case, like a jewel case, or maybe leave it in the box, it's definitely a showpiece. If you want to use this for your every day-to-day gaming, this might not be the console for you. We're going to try to get these scuff marks off in a second. We'll get to that in just a second. The other thing I want to mention too, there was actually 3 different versions of the PS4 Pro. There was the launch model, which was the 7000 series, which had a notoriously loud fan. And then they had the 7100 series, which was this. This was the first revision. And this console actually gets a little bit hotter than the 7000 series, but the fan is quieter. And then, believe it or not, after this one came out, the final revision was the 7200 console, and that fan is even more quiet, and the heat is about the same on the 7200. So, in general, if you're going out to get a PS4 Pro and you find one out there, take a closer look at it. Don't just pick it up. If it's the 7000 series, steer clear of it. Look for a 7100 series or a 7200 series if you can. That's my recommendation. So before we try to get these scuff marks off and restore this, because I know we can, let's take a closer look at what else is included in the box. So here, we've got a second little compartment here. We'll pull this out. And we've got the transparent stand that's exclusive to this console. Again, I highly recommend using that. the exclusive controller. And then I'm not going to show you guys, but there's also the camera that comes with the console as well, and it's matching blue as well. So that's for if you're streaming, which I guess now I can do now that I have a PS4 Pro, because the Xbox, as you all know, you can't rig it up with YouTube for streaming, unfortunately. So, alright, so pretty exciting stuff. Not really, but let's move along and see if we can restore the front of this console to its former glory. Okay, so here we go. So when you've got light scratches on a console or anything that's like clear plastic, there's a couple of different options that you can do to remove the scratches. If the scratches are deep enough, there is scratch remover compound that you can buy at your local hardware store. You can always try that. Sometimes that's a little bit too abrasive and can cause more harm than good when you use those products, so you got to be careful. You can also try using Pine Sol, floor cleaning product, or you can also try toothpaste. And toothpaste can act as an abrasive cleaner. And you take like a lightly dampened cloth. In this case, I've got a microfiber cloth. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just put some toothpaste on the console just like this. And then taking your wet cloth, again, not wet, damp, you're going to want to just start rubbing it in. And you're going to want to rub it in a circular motion. And you want to get it in there really good. So let's continue on with this, and we'll see how I'm doing in a couple of minutes. You can also use a mixture of baking soda and water for this as well. Or, like I said, if the scratches are deep enough, you can use 800 grit sandpaper and do a wet sand. That's your last option. So, and the last thing you're going to do is take a little bit of glass cleaner, multi-surface cleaner, and we're just going to clean off the top here. Probably safer just to squirt it on the cloth. Alright, so this thing is a fingerprint magnet, but as you can see, I got most of the scratches off, and I managed to save myself a couple $100 picking up a unit that wasn't in mint condition, and just a little bit of DIY, and you can restore the console to its former glory. So let's head back to the captain's chair and finish off this video. Alright, so it turned out pretty good. I got most of the scratches out. You know, there's a few deeper scratches I can still see. If I really want to get those out, I could probably even take it to someone who is an expert at wet sanding clear plastic, and they could probably get out those remaining scratches as well. So, you know, in conclusion, would I recommend buying the PS4 Pro 500 million LE edition? No, I wouldn't. If you're, like I said, if you're specifically a collector and you want to have this as a showpiece, and you can find it for $550 or $600 or maybe less, absolutely. But if you plan on using this as your day-to-day console, especially if you have pets, or not even just that, but just in general, if you have OCD and you don't like things with fingerprints or scratches, then you're probably not going to want to have this. Is probably not the console for you. Like, I can remember when I bought my Xbox 360 Slim model, the one that's like the piano black, and that was before I even had a cat. And I remember I used to keep that thing clean. I used to wipe it down all the time because it was a dust magnet. And even just dusting it off, you know, the swirl motion actually caused, you're rubbing the dust actually into the plastic. And over time, that Xbox 360 Slim, if I look at it now, I can see the lines, I can see the swirl marks in the plastic. So that's the problem when you have shiny black plastic, or in this case, translucent or transparent blue like this. It scratches just like that. Whereas if you have just a basic PS4 Pro model, you don't have to worry about all that bullshit. So, you know, if you've got a TV stand where you can put this in like a glass cabinet and away from all the elements and whatnot, then have at it. Otherwise, you're going to want to probably keep the console standing up so nothing gets on top of it. Or you could even go as far as to put something on top of the console, maybe even a piece of glass just to protect it. So it is very much a showpiece. I am happy to have it. I do think it's probably one of, if not the nicest looking PS4 console you can get. It absolutely is probably the most expensive. Out of the 50,000 that were produced, this is like in the 45,000s, I think. It's not like the low number, it's the higher scale. But it's not necessarily rare per se, but it's hard to come by in the wild. You're not going to walk into the thrift store and find one of these. So yeah, I guess I didn't really mention that, but with the limited edition console, you do get, I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to move it, but there is a plaque on the front that shows you which number your console is. So that's really nice. And it's nice that it does come in a nice little baggie. The overall packaging is superb. It's fantastic. Xbox has never provided packaging like Sony did on this console here. So, like I said, it's pretty crazy that this console right now is probably gonna cost you more than a PS5 if you want one of these bad boys right now. It's kind of like reminds me of when Ferrari came out with the 360 Modena model, and it was like the newer style of Ferrari. But you look back at some of the older Ferraris, and they're going for more than the newer model Ferraris. I know it's not an apples to apples comparison, but it's just weird how the collecting mentality works. That a PS4 of all things would be more expensive than a PS5. With regards to games for this console, I'm gonna be honest. I know you guys are always screaming to the sky about exclusives on the PS4. The last thing I want to do is play games on this thing that look like they would run on my 360. A lot of the exclusives you guys rant and rave about are these indie titles, and I don't have a problem with these games, but I am biased to play these fucking indie titles, okay? I'll probably get Uncharted 4. I'll probably get God of War, and then we'll see what else I can get. Probably some of the main staples, the exclusives that were only available on the PS4. I don't plan on amassing a mass collection. Obviously the multiplats I've already got on the Xbox One. So, yeah, in conclusion, I don't plan on actually playing this anytime soon. I've got enough games on my backlog that I want to chip away at. So this is going back in the box. If any of you out there want to buy this off me, it's $1,000. You can hit me up on Twitter. But seriously, if you've got any titles you want to recommend, leave it in the comments below. Just don't recommend Spider-Man to me, because I don't want to play Sunset Overdrive with Spider-Man flying through the air, okay? I don't want to play that. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.